Hey guys, this is Entom,
And I'm MBM.
and welcome to the HellfireComms playthrough of Link's Awakening DX. I've been wanting to do this one for a very long time. I know I say that about literally every playthrough we do nowadays, but the original version of this game, Link's Awakening, was my first Zelda title. Or it may have been. The sands of time have, washed over completely what version of the game I originally played. So for the sake of argument, let's just say that Link's Awakening as a whole was my first Zelda title, and it's really cool to be able to actually talk over it in the style of an obnoxious Let's Player. How do you feel about the game, Exu?
Well, I'm sort of in the same boat with you that I'm not entirely sure if this was my first or not, but I am certain that when I did play it, I played up to, not even the first dungeon, and I'm pretty sure I did the same with A Link to the Past. And my first official Zelda was Ocarina of Time, which, thank God I went back and played the 2Ds, because if I had just stuck with the 3Ds, my opinions of Zeldas would be so different than they are now.
Ouch.
It's not saying for better or worse, but I would be a different person.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the original, I'm just reading the Wikipedia page here, the original came out in 93. The DX version on the Game Boy Color came out in 98, the same year as Ocarina of Time.
Also, you can name Link Zelda and you just get different music. But we're gonna stay canon. Just gonna name him Link. And especially since his name is in the title. One of the few Zelda games that actually has Link's name in the title. So that there's less mistake. So that people don't have to wonder if Zelda was a girl.
Well, there's two. There's this and Adventure of Link, but I don't know when we're going to get to that game. Probably 2018.
Not happening.
Sure is Mario in here.
Yeah, sure is cameo-tastic in this game.
I don't want to give too much away, but there's a reason why they can kind of step outside the box when it comes to Zelda norms, and and honestly, I think it's the games where you go outside of Hyrule that I tend to enjoy more, like Majora's Mask with Termina, Spirit Tracks with New Hyrule. It's got Hyrule in the title, but it's a different place, and, Koholint Island.
This introduced not Hyrule. This is supposed to be a sequel to the Oracle games. At the end of those games, he's on a boat, and as you saw, he shipwrecked at the beginning of this game, and awoken upon this mysterious island.
We're off to get our sword here, I believe.
Yep, and accompanied by one of the best tracks in the game. I love the soundtrack to this game. It is so fucking good.
That's what I call research, getting ready for a Let's Play, just listening to the soundtrack.
That's all you do. You just listen to music. Meanwhile, I have to go through libraries and archives of interviews to try and find out what were the developers' intent. What triggered all these sorts of developmental decisions? I'm actually doing real research. You're listening to music. Thank you.
I'm sorry, okay? I'm the guy in charge. I'm not meant to do all the work.
Fine, whatever.
Oh, that's such a good jingle.
And Moonwalk, because you're not doing Link's Awakening unless you throw in the Moonwalk.
Yes, those are Gordos from the Kirby franchise, in case you were wondering.
Not quite, actually. They're pretty much exactly the same, so I'm not gonna say you're wrong. But those are supposed to be sea urchins. But they're Gordos for all intents and purposes. And now we get the actual theme for Zelda, even though I personally preferred the sword-searching music.
Well, you can't always get what you want, mate.
Yes, I can. Video games, entitlement, and the such.
It's funny, because this game obviously predates Ocarina of Time, introduces a couple of things that would kind of become mainstream with Ocarina of Time. Number one, the owl, Kaboria Gaboria, not the same character in this game, obviously. And also, later we'll be getting an ocarina.
Yeah, a lot of the developers have said that Link's Awakening is the quintessential isometric Zelda, which, okay guys, you made them. And they've always said that...
This game I made is the favorite, the best.
Sure, why not? But they've said over and over that Ocarina of Time would have been a completely different game if they hadn't made Link's Awakening. So, even though everyone wants to say, oh, Ocarina of Time, it's A Link to the Past in 3D, that's really cutting out the contributions that Link's Awakening did, which are a lot and plentiful.
It is still my favorite isometric tile, honestly. I swear I'm not one of the designers.
Because it does get kind of jarring if, say, you've only played the console Zeldas, if you played A Link to the Past and then played Ocarina of Time, there's a disconnect in the design, and it requires playing Link's Awakening to actually see the transition between the two, which was a transition that I had to discover myself, because I've always wondered, why the hell did Ocarina of Time differ so greatly in the game design from Link to the Past? But Link's Awakening is the key to all that.
I feel it's a much better game to get into the 2D Zelda realm with, like, over A Link to the Past, because I played A Link to the Past well after the fact, and I found it rather hard, actually. You know, it's got a pretty big difficulty spike.
Yeah, and I think that was sort of their point with Link's Awakening, is that it's supposed to be an introduction. That's really what the Game Boy was doing at the time. I mean, Kirby came out on that, and Kirby was meant to be baby's first platformer. So I can see that they were trying to use Link's Awakening as sort of a gateway Zelda game. It uses the same assets and stuff, but it's toned down a lot in difficulty. In modern handheld games, a lot of it is about, how can we allow players to play 20 minutes or essentially just a commute's worth of gaming and then stop? That's why a lot of handheld games tend to be mission-based. Back then, it was more about being easy, not so much breaking it up into time chunks. The Game Boy, I guess they assumed that younger siblings would be playing Game Boys while the older sibling would be playing console versions.
Oh, the game man.
That's why it's the boy. I like how this witch, she gives you a limited supply of magic powder, and then she's like, why don't you test it in my house? How about I don't? It's limited. Why would I go and waste it? How about I waste it on this enemy instead and make him Jamaican?
What the fuck?
Yeah, if you sprinkle magic powder, you turn those guys into Jamaican enemies.
Okay, I guess the long-lost sequel to Cool Runnings.
Yes! Yes! It's happening!
Look, I think I've made this comment multiple times, but these blue enemies always reminded me of Blastoises.
The Moblins, yeah. Well, that goes all the way back to Zelda 1. You have red enemies and blue enemies. That's Zelda.
Oh, the Tanuki was Mario the whole time.
Oh no, but where were the testicles? The giant mythological testicles.
Yeah, the balls of legend.
Mm-hmm.
I take it we can't actually get to the key for the first dungeon until we turn not Mario back to normal.
There is a way, actually, where I got the mushroom. The tile above it, there's a one tile gap, those ones that are kind of on screen right there. Mm-hmm. There's a Moblin right next to it that shoots arrows, and you can actually have him shoot you and use the recoil to clear the gap, and then you just get to the chest from behind.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, but not a lot of people know about that, so yes, for the casual sense, you have to turn Mario back into a human? Highly? I don't even really
What's
know
his
what we're
actual
gonna call him.
name? What's his actual name?
Tarin.
Okay.
And later on, he would inspire Talon, which would then go on to inspire Tal-Lo, and it just becomes a giant chain of people.
Bit of a fishing minigame, the first of its kind for Zelda, actually.
Exactly, and it's what inspired them to put fishing in Ocarina of Time. Once again, Link's Awakening, you can't just disregard it as, oh, it was their handheld cash-in. This wasn't when the industry was doing that. Handhelds mattered back then. There was a reason and a point to making handhelds.
Well, they made a game, like, I don't want to say on the same scale as A Link to the Past, but near to it, in terms of, like, content, and they put it on a flimsy little, like, Game Boy cartridge. Not a Game Boy Color cartridge, a Game Boy cartridge.
Exactly. And with this fishing minigame, you want to get the big fish that's lurking in the cave. He has a piece of heart. I had to ask around, because I really wanted to know if it was possible to catch the big fish on your first cast. Mm-hmm. So I asked some of the guys I know that run this game, and usually when I ask these sorts of questions, I get a yes or a no. I got a I don't know. It's like, how the hell do you not know?
You've run this game, isn't this your game?
Exactly, so the best I got was that you can catch the big fish on your second cast. So that's why I did it. But you need to watch out, because the little fish actually has a return value of 5. rupees, it costs 10 to fish. So they have a net value of -5 rupees.
Is that a Yoshi?
Yes! Cameos! Cameos fucking everywhere. And if you're watching this video on 60 frames, yes, shadows! If you don't see a shadow, well, then you may need to buff up that quality setting.
Uh-huh. You may as well. Anyway, this is 2015.
Trust me, getting this game to play 60 frames per second on YouTube made this playthrough even possible.
I wish we had that feature when we were doing like Sonic 3 and Knuckles and whatnot, because the Emerald Chamber don't look great with like just grayed out emeralds.
The timing for the training game is pretty simple. If you put the claw in the upper left corner of the rectangle, all you have to do is tap A when the item you want is in the center of the right side of the rectangle. That's all you need to do. Hold B to put the claw in the corner, and then tap A. And it will work every single time, and then you can just farm rupees to the end of time.
I was gonna say, you're maximizing your money right now.
Because money is hard to come by, and Link's Awakening is a pretty money-tight game.
Yeah.
You will need it.
It's got a second shield, just dual-wield shields.
Holy shit, you have no idea how badass that is. Seriously, no, play Bravely Default in dual-wield shields and use the shield smack attack. It's god tier.
Do we need a refill on the magic powder?
No. And also, if you don't get the magic powder by, like, going behind the chest, that actually gives you magic powder, because you need it. Alright, so now that we have an appropriate amount of rupees, I just left.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah, I didn't see that the first time around.
Blaze it! And here's another thing added to later Zelda games that Link's Awakening started. The Collectathon Search for This Little Thing All Over the World mission. In this case, it's Secret Seashells.
Stray Fairies.
Yeah. But I grinded up that money because I needed to buy a shovel. And more importantly, holy hell, check it out. They're totally selling bombs in this shop. Let's buy them.
Oh my god, yes.
I love bombs. Bombs are so OP, and we kind of need them before the first dungeon.
And we don't need no pansy-ass little bracelet thingy in order to wear them.
Nope, we don't even need a bag. That's why they're the best.
I will say, I love how Skyward Sword let you put bombs back into the bag. I hope that, like, returns in Zelda Wii U.
I love how you could pick bombs and farm them.
It's just like putting out the Wiccan one, isn't it? The fuse. Oh, we got ourselves a trading sequence here.
This is the Straw Millionaire. It's a Japanese Buddhist folktale about a guy who essentially got super wealthy by starting with a piece of straw. The more modern interpretation a lot of people know of is the red paperclip, where a guy did a bunch of trades starting with a red paperclip and ended up with a 2-story house.
Nice.
Yeah, and the Nintendo peeps, they have said that the Straw Millionaire folktale was the inspiration for this trading sequence, and then it will continue on in later Zelda games. This one is sort of required, so you should probably do it.
That is a mini chomp, and we're giving it a ribbon, so it can be super kawaii.
It's so pretty! Otherwise, how are you supposed to know its gender unless we give it a color-coordinated accessory?
How are you supposed to know whether Kirby is angry or not if he doesn't have his eyebrows?
How are we supposed to know if Kirby's supposed to be pink or yellow? We don't know.
Or grey.
Oh my god. That's really it for the village. I kind of wanted to just get all that stuff out of the way now. Because the dungeon's coming up, and the dungeon's really short, so this playthrough, we are going for the big hundo.
100%.
Yes! We will be getting all the seashells, we will be maxing out everything, we will be getting all of... There's some other things counted. Essentially, everything that you see on the pause screen that has a counter next to it, we will be getting all of it.
Okay, we got a crocodile who wants dog food, and he trades in bananas.
Interior crocodile, give me bananas. And he also likes cans, apparently. Which I've seen an alligator eat a can. That shit was terrifying.
I would imagine so, with that amount of puncture pressure.
He's also got a snazzy hat.
Let's hope it's not a fedora.
Oh god. In case you haven't noticed, his bed's also in water.
Well, where else would you expect a crocodile to sleep?
It's just adorable! I mean, this game has so many nice touches, and on a very surface level, is probably one of the most adorable Zelda games, but I will warn you, in my opinion, Link's Awakening is one of the most unsettling Zelda games, up there with Majora's Mask. I know that sounds like I'm reading way too much into this, but trust me, throughout this playthrough, you will learn where I'm coming from with that.
Indeed we shall, and we shall see you guys next time for the first dungeon of the game, the Tail Cave. See you then.